There is a guy who wants to become a human Ken doll. That's right. We've got some pictures of him. His name is Rodrigo Alves. He has spent more than $250,000 to become a human Ken doll. I mean, these pictures are just wild. We'll get into that in just a sec. But first, now that you've seen what he looks like, let's get a quote from Rodrigo himself. He says, "I'm pretty aware that I'm far from perfection. I'm not deluded, and I know that I'm not the most good-looking guy. I'm just aiming to be the best that I can possibly be. I really believe that everything that I've done to myself is an investment. It is who I am." All right, so every time we do stories like this, and we've done this kind of thing, it's usually with women, or we did a story a couple weeks ago on men that literally wear silicone women's outfits. People have all kinds of weird fetishes and are, you know, into different stuff and do all kinds of things to themselves. I try not to be too glib about it because obviously there's some pretty clear jokes we can make here. But there's a psychological element to this, and there's also an element of it's his life and his body, and if he's not hurting anybody, then who cares? So let's jump off with that.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not hurting anybody, who cares? I do sort of feel bad for the guy, though. He's had 3 nose jobs, and he's going to have another one. He's addicted to having plastic surgery, you know? Right. But what I would really like to see is for the human Ken doll to hook up with the human Barbie doll.
And there is a human Barbie doll, right? So they need to get together. I have a feeling he may not be into
I'm pretty sure he's not.
if you know what I'm talking about. What do you think about this?
He has body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
You know, he talked about being bullied as a kid. They made fun of him for having a big nose. So that's probably why he's had so many nose jobs, because it's something that he's very self-conscious about. And I also feel bad for him because if you read the comments on articles like this or videos that I looked up about him, people are horrible in the comments. They say, you know, really mean things, insult the way he looks, call him, you know, a freak and stuff like that. And I just think that that's really kind of fucked up for them to do, because here's somebody who clearly is, you know, has body dysmorphia, is not confident in himself, and you're making them feel worse, you're putting them down.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
Is that
man.
the sort of irony of this whole thing? He obviously was uncomfortable with the way he looked to start, but then by doing this in a public fashion, because obviously if he's posting this stuff publicly, he's okay with people talking about it, but that the reaction then is the complete reverse. He obviously was doing it to get a positive reaction,
People are
right?
just mean.
And
People love to find anyone who's different and point at them and be like, oh my gosh, I'm better than you, so let me insult you.
Yeah.
You know,
How much of this, so getting away from whatever his psychological issues may or may not be, and obviously we can't diagnose him here, how much do you think of this is just that we live in the selfie nation? We live in a time when selfie sticks are a real thing. And I was talking about it a couple weeks ago, but I was in New York and I was walking through Times Square and I literally saw dozens of people just staring into screens with selfie sticks in front of them instead of actually what was going on. We're all taking pictures of ourselves doing all kinds of stuff. We're all guilty of it, myself included. So how much is just that? Forgetting his forgetting him.
Yeah, I think it's a huge influence on him. I mean, the media in general, you can't, every screen, whether it's your phone or your iPad or your TV, it's all about how you look.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about image, and it's just magnified to such a crazy extent nowadays that I think it has definitely, if he obviously already had something internal going on,
right?
But this just amplifies it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just him, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
You know, he's an extreme case, but like you said, there's people with selfie sticks walking around when they're not looking at what's going on around them. I mean, people are very, you know, vain. And it's, you know, no one's really excluded from that nowadays. And I feel like there's a lot of people getting plastic surgeries for things that they don't necessarily need to.
Yeah.
And I always try to, you know, advise friends like, no, you don't need to do that to yourself. You don't need a nose job. You don't need a boob job. Just be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, at some point, you know, if something is going to make you feel that much better, I mean, I guess do whatever, you know, make yourself happy.
If it actually is making him feel better, we
Yeah.
don't know what the answer to that is. But this story was making me think about Bruce Jenner because he's now transitioning to be a woman. Supposedly they're going to do a reality show about it. Now his whole life and his whole family is based in this bullshit reality thing. I want to empathize with him if he truly feels that he is a woman and he's going to do this. But then at the same time, he's opening himself up to all of this criticism. It's exactly what I'm saying about this guy. Like, if you're going to do this publicly, then you're going to get shit on for the exact thing that you're trying to fix. So it's really like psychologically warped, right?
Yeah, I mean, you better be ready in a way. Like you said, if you're going to do it and so publicly, there's going to be backlash. You know, unfortunately, that's the way it works.
What do you guys make of the doctors that do this? So in a case of this, not the Bruce Jenner situation, but in a case of this where someone's clearly living out some quest for perfection that can never exist, but the doctors will always take the money. You know what I mean? Joan Rivers at 80-something. I love Joan Rivers, but at 80-something was still getting work done, you know?
I mean...
Is there an ethical piece of that, you know?
I personally, I graduated with a degree in biomedical sciences and actually almost went to, I went to medical school, I almost became a doctor, and I could never, ever have done something like this just because I wouldn't feel right about it. But if this is something that they really want, they're gonna find somebody who's willing to do it, you know? And if you as the physician feel like you are, you know, fulfilling a request for somebody, you're making somebody happy.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, at what degree? I mean, is a boob job unethical?
Right.
You know?
So for as many doctors as have certain ethics, you're always going to find one that
You're
doesn't.
gonna,
You can always go to another country
everyone
and
is
do
different,
it.
you know?
Yeah.
It's big business.
All right, what do you think? Is this going too far? If he's not hurting anyone, then is it okay? Let us know in the comments right down below, and don't forget to subscribe.